rise and shine. Pour yourself a cup of coffee and tune in to Good Morning Aurora. News, weather, and really cool interviews. Monday through Friday from 8 to 9 a.m.
Yeah, that's word up. Melissa O'Cone. All of these people.
All y'all. I really like using y'all as opposed to you guys. And I know I come from Southside Chicago stock, so properly it's yous guys, as in yous guys need anything from the jewels. But y'all is nice because it's gender inclusive, right?
Use is too.
Uses, but not use guys.
Yeah, it is.
No, I mean.
Yeah.
No. No.
If you're picturing the type of person I'm picturing, that 68-year-old Serbian American over there on like Haddon and Narragansett. If you're picturing that 51-year-old Puerto Rican man on Division and Artesian, he's saying that to the girls and the boys, everybody.
Well,
you guys go home. You guys go over there.
Just because he's saying that, though, doesn't mean that it's really inclusive. Like, are you going to go ahead and tell me that, like, I feel like I ought to be called a guy?
What I'm telling you is that the group of boys and girls would still do, and he would still say it in an inclusive fashion.
Well, right, but that's kind of the argument for Latino, Latina, Latinx, right? Like, we go Latinx now because, good morning, Aurora. You can do the thing?
I was going to keep going with this.
Do the thing. We'll come back to it.
This, Alyssa O'Connell came back from Vegas.
Good for her. Do the thing.
All right.
Then
good
we'll
morning,
come back.
Aurora. Good morning, Aurora. Good morning, Aurora.
Good morning, Aurora.
Yeah, word up. Yes.
See, because languages evolve, right? Which is tragic because I'd really like to see elements of the Southside Chicago accent like preserved for all of eternity. It's like just an endearing thing. But there is an element of like we can move forward with language and be more gender inclusive. Since so much of our language, in many of our languages, are all highly gendered. I don't know.
I don't think that. I think that because we're talking about a scam likely. I hate these people with these calls.
The people, all right, if you're listening right now and you're tapping, like tell us just on a scale of 1 to like bajillion how much you hate the scam calls.
Seriously.
Particularly like interrupting you at the worst possible moments.
Trying to give these people the news and all that. Daniel Burrow, good morning. Oh my gosh. Listen, no, here's where I was going with this. Listen.
Okay, all right. We're back to use guys versus y'all.
What we're talking about with that person using that use, that actual, baked in the cake Chicagoan, they were using it,
sure,
and it was received,
sure,
inclusively,
sure.
It's only the continued enlightenment of people to now realize that perhaps it's not a
right
completely, but I guarantee you, the user and the recipient of that time and era and usage were both included and felt included.
Of course. I'm just saying that I think that it's okay for us to use... Oh, you're clapping for yourself? That's not fair.
No, I wasn't clapping for me. That was the audience. That was the audience.
I don't have access to the clapping.
We don't have a clap button.
It's live, guys.
Time is now 8:05 a.m. You're listening to Good Morning, right? See?
Filmed in front of a live audience.
That's right.
Us.
So, now here's the thing. We'll come back to this.
Okay, we're coming back to y'all versus you guys.
And inclusivity. Let's hit the news for you guys. Good morning, Emily. Good morning, Daniel. Alyssa O'Connell is back from Vegas. She says that the spam callers the worst, and they are smarter and use local numbers to spam you. I know.
It's awful.
Jalal Zari, good morning to you as well. And Norma Peterson, good morning.
Yeah, so okay. I don't know anybody my age who actually answers phone anymore, like ever.
Oh, I do all the time.
Well, good for you. I don't. I'm like, no. In fact, I think my voicemail says, "What are you doing? Text me."
Now, amongst the things to talk about today, our First Friday.
Them. Yes.
There's a good lineup for First Friday.
There is. There always is.
Let's chop it up about that.
Because the Aurora Downtown crew does an amazing job of like programming all sorts of great stuff. And September, of course, every September for the past couple of years now, the main feature at First Fridays has been Roots Aurora, and that continues to be the case tonight. So if you are around in downtown Aurora, and I don't know why you wouldn't be, because where else are you going to go? Really, where's better? No place. Is there any place better? Downtown Aurora?
No.
Maybe Bali.
Bali?
Yeah.
The country?
Well, it's an island in Indonesia.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. But yeah, like that could.
Y'all didn't even know that though. Nobody. So we don't want no funny business in the chat. The time is now 8:07 a.m.
But yes. Yeah, maybe Bali would be the only other place I'd be like, it's First Fridays tonight.
Right. Yep.
But I'm willing to give that up for like
travel.
A beach. Remember when you could just go places?
Yeah, I still go places.
And it was like easy, and you didn't have to like go get a million tests and like have all kinds of proof of stuff, and then like sit on a plane with a crazy person that has to get duct taped.
If you're trying to
it was just a lot easier. Before.
If you're trying to go to school, go see Kinky Boots, or you're trying to take part in things, yes, there's more and more vaccine mandates are getting rolled out.
Yes.
More in all kinds of areas. That's a big thing going on right now in the city of Chicago. I don't know if you guys have seen, but there is a lot of vitriol. That's the word of the day, vitriol.
Ooh, good word.
Thank you.
I mean,
thank you.
I would prefer a happier word next week. We're picking a happier
word. Word up. Yeah, seriously. But people are mad because of the more stringent restrictions put in place by businesses. My thing is this, though, and I want to get... Aren't these are the same people that was saying that the gay person who went to go get a cake and they couldn't get the cake, hey, that's the business's right.
Business is allowed to do that.
Business is allowed to do that. So why can't a business say that you need to be vaccinated before you come in here to this Bikram yoga studio? Where you're sweating and all that too.
Yeah, you really like... if there's a place where I want everybody vaccinated, it's in the yoga studio, by the way, guys, because y'all breathing on each other all hard and stuff, especially if you're in the city, right? Because there is no 6 feet of separation if you go to a yoga studio in the city, right? They're like, you're downward dogging into somebody else's dog. It's a lot of, it's a lot of things. Like in the city, like the suburbs. I love city life, right? I love, they're so much more eco-friendly in a lot of ways because you get to walk everywhere and like you're constantly meeting new people, bumping into people and stuff all the time. But I am very suburban when it comes to my yoga studios. I want them spread out. I don't want to touch anybody. I want to basically pretend that nobody can see me and my spandex and doing my thing, even though I'm really good at it. I just want to be in my bubble and left alone.
Word up.
That's my yoga rant.
Okay. So as mentioned about Roots Aurora.
Sorry, right, yes.
They're back from 5 to 7 p.m. at Water Street Mall. Family Focus is having the annual celebration of cultures featuring art, music, local vendors, and more. And Simply Destiny will host Shine Bright Like a Diamond pop-up shop featuring 10 vendors from 5 to 9 p.m. at 122 West Downer Place for Suicide Awareness Month.
Yeah.
Food trucks are back too.
Woo! So Roots Aurora is a magical event. It was originally like several years ago when it was conceived. It was back when people still threw like community events at River Edge Park. But that's kind of a really crazy thing to do. So now it's a part of Roots Aurora, which is nice because you get to kind of wander in and out. But it's their big fundraiser for Family Focus Aurora every year too, usually. And just first of all, Family Focus. Not to be confused with Focus on the Family, which does happen all the time. Very different organizations. Family Focus Aurora, if you are not familiar with them, they do all kinds of amazing work supporting families particularly in the immigrant community, but not just, making sure that people have everything from like that they're getting access to all the resources they need. They have a great parent mentor program that puts parents in the schools. They used to have a welcoming center for new immigrants. It's kind of like all grant based, so things like the programs change all the time. They do after school programming for kids. They do all sorts of parent support stuff. So an amazing organization if you've never come into contact with them at any point. Definitely.
And not only that, Christina Campos is a friend of the show, and she was on yesterday. And Christina Campos is doing a lot of good stuff in the community. So shouts out to Christina Campos, a family focus, and amongst other things. So hold on a second, because I want to read. Well, hold on a second. Dan is going to the East High football game tonight, looking for win number 2.
Okay.
Nice.
All right, very good.
Y'all letting us know what you're doing this weekend. Go Tomcats.
What else we got?
And hold on a second. Where did it go?
Who else is doing things?
Oh, well, Dan says that about these scam callers. When he's expecting a call important to me, I get sales calls. I'm telling you, brother.
Every time.
All right. Here's the art stuff going on.
Here's the art stuff happening. Art
Bar at Two Brothers. The Zodiac Show. No matter your sign, you're invited to the Art Bar Zodiac Show. It's at 7 p.m. to midnight. 7 Setting Suns Art Gallery, 14 West Downer Place. That's a place right next door to Wickwood House. Life's a Rich Pageant. Vincenzo Valenziano with the vivacious vivation of rhapsodic relations. But I got it right, though.
He did.
But I got that right, though.
That was,
I floated like a butterfly, staying like a bee on those words. The time is now 8:12 a.m. And then Gallery 1904.
Who wrote that?
Right. Whoever did that, I think he did, and he just printed it, had them printed. So if he did, shouts out to you. And then lots of great photographers are having the 3rd annual photography exhibition hosted by Bezo Arts. So much stuff. The time is now 8:12. I'll put the link in the chat for you wonderful people. But what are you going to say about Roots?
Oh, I was just going to say, so it's kind of an amazing event, and it's like it's this amazing, it's the sort of thing that you only get in like, I'm not going to say you only get it in Aurora, but like what's cool about it is that, Aurora is not like a huge city relative to, big places like Chicago and stuff like that, right? But we are really diverse when you look back at all of the different small ethnic groups and things like that have settled here and get represented in all of the different performances and things that they do at Roots Aurora. Mm-hmm. So the very first year of Roots Aurora, I volunteered for it and broke my foot polka dancing to a mariachi band, which was pretty spectacular because I had the whole costume with the Polish costume with the getup with the floral crown and the sequins and the whole bit. And what people don't realize is that polka and mariachi are actually very similar music. It's like the same like time signature and everything, right? Because the Germans that settled in the north of Mexico / Texas back when it was all kind of like, same spot. Fluid.
Word up.
Back when that border was just kind of shifting all over the place, and we're just like putting new flags up every few years and over Texas, right? This is a big German settlement, and so like you can polka dance to mariachi music. I can't apparently because I broke my foot doing it, but you could.
Salty.
In theory.
All right. So it's the time is 8:14. I've got some local stuff to talk about. Then we're going to get into not right now with the local stuff. Sugar Skull City.
Tell
us about that.
Hey, yeah. So another program of the awesome Aurora downtown people. If they're doing, we're going to cover downtown Aurora in Sugar Skulls again, like we did last year.
Jennifer Ryan Mayton, what up?
Yeah, so, and I've got a new computer, guys, and so it's moving a little slow. Hold on.
You need a computer to do the news?
To do the just to double check things. So, oh my God. Okay. So, so we're doing Sugar Skull City from October 15th to November 7th. You're messing with me this morning. But here's where you get to participate. All you have to do is, like, you can make a sugar skull, and then, like, paper 2x. It's got to be, like, scannable or whatever, so that they can, they're going to make copies of it, and then
JPEG or PNG format, y'all.
It says, well, you could do like an actual like you can painted or whatever, like
Right.
stuff like by
Okay.
hand. And then they've got to be able to scan it, and then you take it over to fast print, and they'll duplicate it, and then it'll get like hung around town. So you can get the details for that. And said much more eloquently, like in print, at Aurora,
Word up.
at auroradowntown.org, under the call for art, the Sugar Skull Albrijes. So check it out and get your artwork hung around downtown Aurora.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Very cool. All right, guys. So we got some local stuff to talk about. Let you guys know what is happening in and around L Town. So do not forget that our friends of the Aurora Public Library Foundation have Lace Up for Literacy going on until Monday. You can walk, you can run at your own pace, at the leisure of your own home, your own treadwell, your own backyard, or at Wabanzi Lake Park if you live over there by the Old Fox Restaurant on Montgomery and Neola. Holla. Okay. That's a message to a person. Get out there and run.
Gotcha.
You know who you are.
Where do you run? Do you run?
I don't.
You don't?
No.
You don't run?
I haven't ran in a long time.
Okay. All right.
I haven't run in a
well,
long time.
that kills my whole. We were gonna banter about the best running spots around town, but
I know the best running spots though.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I know the best running spots.
Where do you recommend?
I recommend a really good run is if you are downtown. You can run down River Street. Go to that park back there by those apartments or those projects down there. Yeah, south. Then you take the trail that goes back there by Prisco Center.
Okay.
Then you cross over, and there's another miscellaneous trail that'll just run you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so the Cole Center.
Yeah.
It's like the side of that.
I was gonna say that too.
See?
It's the Fox River Trail.
See,
It's the west, so we all agree.
I just haven't ran in a minute,
The best spot to run downtown Aurora. I mean, actually, what's kind of nice now is the trail. It's still the Fox River Trail, but just a little bit south, right by the housing development. But now there's the pedestrian bridge, and so that's kind of nice. You can make it a shorter loop if you want to stay urban, or you can just head north all the way, and that thing goes all the way north up to Algonquin. Now
you can run. There's another good the Wabanzi Lake.
Bonzi Lake Trail.
Yeah. That's good running out there. Real good running. You can only go so far though, from what I remember. The last time I was out there running that was a couple years ago. But when I lived in Naperville, I ran every day. I would run. So back there where Deal Road is, I can't think of the name of the trail, but there is a forest preserve trail that goes north for a long distance. I'd run that.
Yeah, there's a few over there. Oh yeah, that's probably the Prairie Path.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. That's what it is. That's what it is.
Oh
yeah, shouts out. Word up.
So, any other runners, cyclists, if you've got a good secret spot. I like the one too that goes around a little lake in the on the east side. That like little. Yeah. Boy, gosh, we're like coming up short on names.
There's a lake on the east side?
Yeah, there's like a little, okay, so like lake is relative, but there's like that pond off of like 5th, it's like smack in the middle of the east side of Aurora.
Girl, you got people running around rain puddles. I don't know. I've never heard of that.
No, there's like this whole, and it's this nice trail, and it's, okay,
all right, so anyway, back to the foundation. According to Spark, Strong, Prepared, and Ready for Kindergarten, Aurora is one of Illinois' most underserved communities for early learning services. 1 in 4 children in Aurora have the skills they need to be successful in school. 20,000 children in Aurora, age 5 and younger. 40% live at or below 18.5% of the federal poverty level. Half have family incomes that qualify for Medicaid and free reduced meal programs. And over 62% live in households isolated by language barriers. Today's Bookmobile is the primary library for District 131 students. For more information, you can go to aplfoundationil.org. Literacy is a bridge from misery to hope. Shouts out.
The primary, that's fascinating that the Bookmobile is the primary source of books for kids in our area. Fascinating, right? Because we have some like amazing libraries, but it just goes to show you like how important access is, right? And convenience, being able to actually get to things. Because if you live, kind of out further.
In the sticks or something.
Right. Or not even in the sticks, but just like maybe you don't want to walk 10 blocks through whatever to like get to the library.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Now, the city of Aurora might go ahead and replace your lead pipes or your lead lines. We told you guys about this. We explained to you the intimacy that goes into your water service and lead pipes and lines. A lot of you guys were like, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Now,
I know, that's what people say to me every time I explain municipal infrastructure. They're like, wow, that's amazing. So about anything else? And I'm like, no, guys, this is fascinating. But they're like, okay. But for
like
real.
You need to know this.
Like, well, you do need to know this because did you know that there's lead coming like into there may be if you live in an older house, which P.S. if you live in our neighborhood, you certainly do, right? There may be lead coming into your home, not from like the actual like pipes at the city, like the water mains or anything, but from the section of pipe that comes from the water main to your home. It's called the service line, right? And part of it's on city property and part of it's on your property. And those lines, because of some really jankety laws and influence from different lobbying groups and stuff like that back in the day, Illinois has more of these lead service pipes than anywhere else in the country, and Aurora has more than anywhere in Illinois aside from Chicago, of course, right? So, and what happens is the water comes through your service pipes, and then it comes into your faucet, and then you drink it, and that's not great because lead leads to all kinds of issues, like cognitive issues, especially in young children. All kinds of things. Took down Rome, like gonna take down Aurora. So, so now the city has decided, and they're assuming that there's some federal funding that's coming through. There is a state law that will mandate the replacement of all of these lead service lines by 2027, but that's still like a few years off, especially if you have, again, young children in the house who are most affected by lead.
Right.
So first of all, your action item today, if you didn't have plans for Saturday morning, maybe just make a stop off at the Home Depot if you don't have like a filter on your faucet and you're drinking the tap water, because the tap water in Aurora is great. It's really high quality water actually, and it is cheap relative to buying all that bottled water, which is terrible for the environment. But you don't want any of that lead, so get yourself a little filter if you don't have one.
So hold on a second, guys. This is hot off the press.
Oh no, we got breaking news?
We do. Out of nowhere. The DuPage County Health Department reported yesterday the first human case of West Nile virus in DuPage County for 2021. An Aurora resident in his 60s became ill in mid-August. The Kane County Health Department reported earlier this week a Sugar Grove man in his 50s as its first human case of the year. Health departments are encouraging residents to protect themselves from mosquito bites and the risk of contracting West Nile virus. It's transmitted to people by infected mosquitoes. Approximately 1 in 5 people who are infected with West Nile virus will develop symptoms such as fever, headache, body aches, joint pains, vomiting, diarrhea, or rash. Less than 1% will develop a serious neurologic illness such as encephalitis or meningitis, inflammation of the brain or surrounding tissues.
So, and there's no treatment really for West Nile virus. That's fun too. So like if you get sick, like if you get really, they're just like, well, ride it out. So the answer to West Nile is an awful lot of DEET, just covering yourself in that if you are out in places where there are a lot of mosquitoes. And be a good neighbor, look around your yard, dump out any standing water. Don't let that stuff, just your bird baths. They don't need baths right now. It's not bird bathing season. It's okay. What? They'll just get rained on. They're fine.
I've always been like kind of upset when I see people like, you can't change the water.
Yeah, I know, and I'm super guilty of that too.
Change the water.
Right.
If you're gonna have a little bird bath thing with the nice pretty mirror and the dangles, and it's
I don't have the dangles.
and you got the American flag on it, change the water.
I just got like a stone one or like a concrete one or whatever, and I really like it. But you're right, I'm like awful about that. But any like mosquitoes can actually like even a bottle cap is like enough for them to be able to like lay eggs and just like ruin your.
It's like when people show me their fish and all their animals. I'm like, you clean the tank.
Okay, yeah. So yes, that.
Oh,
I was supposed to do the litter box.
All right. So it's 8:25 a.m.
We were talking about lead. Oh, anyway, so so the finance committee recently heard about the city's plan to change out all of the water pipes. Could eventually cost $200 million to do all of that, but we're expecting to get some federal funding. But the good news about all of this is it used to be like the city would split the cost. So if they had to do some work on your house or in your in your neighborhood on the pipes or whatever, they would say like, look, we'll split the cost with you, and all of our pipe we'll do, and all of your pipe you'll do, or like we'll do it and you'll just pay for it. And they're gonna change that policy.
We'll do it and you'll just pay for it.
Right? Yeah. So like basically, if the city was doing work on the water main or whatever, they would be like, well, while we're here, we'll switch out the service line to not be lead anymore. And so they would pay for, they would change it all out for you, and they would cover the cost of the part that was like on city property, and then you would cover the cost, like you would pay the city for having switched out the part that was on your property. It's technically your service line, like because it's your property, right? It connects to your house. So but that's what this new like what they're working on or trying to decide in village board or city council right now is the city's just gonna do it at
Josue says if you boil the water, does it take out the lead?
No, it does not. So just get a filter. You go to the Home Depot. You get one of those nice ones that goes under your sink, and then you don't even have to see it. You just change out the filter every few months.
Yeah, or you can get the nice Brita.
You can get the little
Brita joint.
Your Brita pitcher. That's fine. You can get the little thing that screws onto your faucet or whatever. Yeah. So. Because it's gonna be a few years anyway. Like it's great that they're like I am fully supportive of let's change it, but it's gonna take some time. Right. So like if you you should have been filtering your water anyway for lead. Because what happens is the city filters your water, right? Like we have the water treatment plant out there on 25, but they clean it and then it goes through and it's like the last few feet before it hits your faucet that are the ones that have the lead in them. So. Yeah.
So listen, what I want you to know is this. You need to protect yourself. Water is good. Drink more of it.
Drink more water.
I know a lot of you, I keep, we follow each other on Instagram. All I see you doing, you're just posting coffee and juice. You got the big gulp, the 99-cent thing. Look, hydrate. You got to hydrate, because if you don't, your kidneys will bother you later on in life.
Yeah. All of that high fructose corn syrup is just like crystallizing several of your
For real. Some of y'all just drink Kool-Aid for 12 hours a day.
Man,
it's crazy.
Let me tell you, there was like nothing more symbolic of my time living in Indiana than the big gulp. Like from the gas station, like these huge. I'm like, I have never seen cups this large.
All right, according to Alderman Carl Franco, and then I'll put the link to this in the the chat for you guys. According to Alderman Carl Franco, the program will not cost the city a lot of money immediately, but the state mandate could eventually cost the city, quote, a couple $100 million, end quote. And he is the chairman of the finance committee. The time is now 8:29 a.m. All right, for those of you runners, and the conversation was about where do you run, where do you come from, where do you go, where do you come now, Cotton Eye Joe. So some of you people,
hey, a song I get, a song reference I know.
Interesting.
Yeah, keep moving.
So we have Oakhurst.
Yeah,
Dan
that's
tells
the
us
name of the
Oakhurst
place.
is a place to run.
Yes,
yeah.
it's this adorable little pond. If you've never seen it, and it's like a lake, pond, whatever. It's like in between. It's like only in this area could this be a lake. But it's this pond, and then there's like a nice gravel trail that goes around it. Sometimes it floods a little bit because it's also quite marshy, but it's very nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oakhurst.
Do a
Also,
few loops.
we got the West Side checking in. So the West Side run.
right.
Hold on a second.
Where are we running on the West Side? I bet it's the Gilman. Is it the Gilman?
Cindy Morales tells us Phillips Park, Lincoln Park on the West Side.
Okay.
Shouts out. Oakhurst for Observer.
Lincoln also has the dog park too, so you can run it and see dogs.
And Peter tells us, wife and I would come to Aurora on the bike trail from Warrenville to Aurora years ago when they lived in Warrenville.
Yeah.
Shouts out to you. Maria Chirito is here. Good morning.
So that's the first.
All right. So listen, real quick. Shout them out. The Germans in Texas introduced the accordion used in Tejano and Norteño bands. You know what? Hold on a second. That is right. Shouts out. It was Wednesday. Speaking of Germany, Wednesday was
Guten Tag, Aurora.
Right. Guten Morgen, Aurora.
Guten Morgen, Aurora. My bad.
The first was the anniversary of the invasion of Poland, widely noted as starting World War II. So we wanted to mention that, but it was Buenos Dias, Aurora. I didn't know how to say it in Spanish. So if you are interested, I would recommend a fantastic documentary series by the Encyclopedia Britannica. It is online on YouTube. You can watch it for some fascinating history. The time is 8:31. Okay, and then last but not least, Mastodon Lake at Phillips Park is 1 mile. Oh, shouts!
Yeah.
Wow.
So then you can loop it.
All right. First Fridays tonight is going down. You guys get ready. Peter, Buenos Dias. Kurt is my brother from another mother. Yes. Pete, man, much love for you, sir.
Yeah! What else we got going on at First Fridays? Because there's more stuff. We hit the art.
We hit the art. Hold on a second. Let's break it down for these awesome people. You got it?
Music. So we got the Sheena Baker group on Galena. They're doing Dance With Us, drinks and line dancing. So
Frog in the corner, and he go right.
Giddy up.
Crambone.
Do you line dance?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Of course I'd line dance. Duh.
Sure. Who doesn't?
You know?
Yeah.
It's one of our favorite dances. Addie Rubio's here. Good morning, Addie. And Wabanzi Lake from Karen Caputo. Good morning to you as well. Man, a lot of people out here running.
Everybody's running. Good.
People
That's
know.
good.
I apologize.
Okay, so we also got La Quinta de los Reyes is going to have live music featuring Adrian y su guitarra. El Tiro is going to have a live Spanish rock featuring Damian Rivera. And Endiro is also going to have live music with the Castros featuring heartfelt folksy tunes.
Heartfelt folksy tunes.
Yes, which I love all of those things. I love things that are heartfelt and folksy.
Like what?
I don't know. Like... You're giving me a look.
So a heartfelt folksy tune.
I
know a couple. So
okay,
here's a good heartfelt folksy tune.
Okay, what you got?
When I think about the good love you gave me, I cry like a baby. Right? The Box Tops? Nobody?
Or do you have the camera on me so I can give you a look now?
Nobody? Y'all don't know the Box Tops? Yo.
Okay, so that's music. We've also got Simply Destiny's going to have some activities and vendors in a selfie booth on Downer Street or Downer Place. Zenloft is going to be out there belly dancing, of course.
Zenloft, what up?
Visit the studio, get some massages. I know Emily's been on recently, talking all about Zenloft. So
Emily is the homie.
Yeah, so get out there and check it all out. And then Paramount will be celebrating Kinky Boots with Build a Character Through Drags. Come have some fun and learn how to develop a character through drag. Nice. Each drag queen has her own personality and character, so come to find out who your inner drag queen is. That's just waiting to be unleashed. So
7:30 are the belly dancing performances, weather permitting.
Weather permitting.
Yep.
Have we looked at the weather?
And Simone Barnes as well will be there tonight. Yeah.
Okay. Very
Shouts
good.
out.
So some more things. There's more things. We'll get.
All right. So let's move on with the news, you guys. I do have a couple of. Let me give some local. Sip that
That's
shit up.
the noise.
Sip it up. Sip it up.
That's
Sip it up. Sip it up.
You really, I can't.
Oh, okay.
It's a lot of slurping.
It is. All right. So here's some local news for you awesome people. Do not forget that our friends of the Kane County Sheriff's Department have a hiring event going on. You can learn resume skills, you can learn transition skills, and there are also going to be mental health workshops taking place as well. Shouts out to our friends of the Aurora Regional Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, the Quad County African American Chamber of Commerce, and the Kane County Sheriff's Office. Let's word up. I like when law enforcement does nice things, like to give you jobs and stuff like that. That stuff is cool.
Nice. That's it's better than getting, arrested.
Right. Gets you a job before you go to jail.
This is right.
All right. And also, don't
Turns
forget.
out when people have jobs, like they're less likely to engage in less legal enterprise, because you got good
Unless they're stealing.
You got like good income, right?
Right. Well, no. Well, we're not going to get into that.
Well, so this
you heard
is
about
like,
the guy? Did you hear about the? You know what? We can't get into.
We're getting into what we're getting into.
The rabbit hole is right there.
All right.
So we'll just.
We're going down it.
No, we're gonna.
We're gonna say okay.
There's a guy, the CEO of a tech firm. Mm-hmm. This was just in the news on Tuesday. Mm-hmm. CEO of a tech firm based in Skokie. Mm-hmm. He just got charged for taking place into January 6th.
At the thing.
Despicable behavior.
The whole thing.
Throwing a chair at a police officer.
Oh, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't throw chairs at people.
Now, mind
you,
he's
the general rule.
He's the CEO.
Yeah.
Now
well, I guess my argument is more like people, when they have jobs, they engage less in, like when you have a good quality job that you don't want to lose, you're less likely to engage in things that like illegal enterprise.
Exactly.
Right.
If you can make an honest living doing good
right,
work, you won't have to
you don't got to hustle
in,
somehow, right? Like, so this is the whole principle behind, everyone's like, why do we pay these bureaucrats so much in America? They just sit around and push papers. Okay. Like, first of all, we do more than push papers. We have computers, but like you pay them so that you don't end up with a corrupt country where every time you go to the post office you have to pay a bribe to.
All right, let me get this news out. October 8th is the date. Bridge Bash 2021. This will be a great event of outdoor music, fun, and food. It will be at the venue from 6 to 10 p.m. And taking place in beautiful Mundy Park as well. Sponsorship packages are available for tickets for you and your friends. This will be a whole lot of fun. You can visit the website at neighborproject.us to become a sponsor, to learn more, and to get tickets for the event. There you go. All right. Also, mental health matters. Don't forget, NAMI KDK is still looking for volunteers. The mission of NAMI is to provide free mental health services, education, support, and advocacy for individuals, family members, and communities. If you're interested, you can contact the program's coordinator at info@NAMI
NAMI
KDK.org. All right.
Very good. Shout out to NAMI and to all the people.
Yeah, shout out to NAMI.
Yeah, and just in general to anyone who if this past year and a half or so that we've been going through has shown us anything, it's the importance of mental health hygiene, right? Like, go for a walk, go figure out some ways to alleviate stress that don't involve hoarding toilet paper and knocking over masks at the Target, right? Like, mental health issues, suicide, all of these, addiction, all of the diseases of despair are seriously on the rise and have been for some time, but have gotten considerably worse over the past year and a half or so. So if you are not taking care of your mental health, if you're not seeing a therapist right now, first of all, like, I do not know anybody that does not need to be seeing a therapist right now. In fact, there are colleges right now that are just like, so we can't possibly give counselors to every single freshman who walks in the door, but kind of we need to. if you're not taking care of your mental health, I think the stigma's gone now. We're just getting rid of that. That's just done. Just like go see a therapist, right? Go talk to some people.
And actually, I forgot one more thing, you guys. Excuse me. Art Comes Alive. But this is actually the first Fridays for October 1st. I'm going to tell you guys now because our dear friends of the Alive Teen Center here in Aurora and Visual Arts need help getting this out. The Teen Art Exhibition, sponsored by Visual Arts, looking for teens 6th to 12th grade to submit up to 2 pieces of artwork for a special exhibit. 6 to 9 p.m., 1 East Benton Street. Shout out.
Okay, very good.
I saw...
What'd you see?
That busing is in the news.
It's back. It's a thing. That's happening. So here's what's going on. We have school buses. We need people to drive those school buses, and there's been a serious lack of people to drive those school buses, which means that
because a lot of them quit because they had to follow the vaccine mandate and be vaccinated by October 15th.
Well, I think that's part of it. I think that part of it was, original, like when the first of all, everything shut down.
Which is not it, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, first of all, everything shut down back in, March. What year is it? I don't even know, right? So when the whole pandemic happened, right, and we stopped sending kids to school, and then everything became kind of crazy and unstable, right? So either people stayed home or they had to get jobs or whatever. So there are many, many factors that are definitely at play, I think, in the bus driver shortage. And now it's just like nobody's going back to work because they're kind of like, work is awful and we don't want to do it anymore. And I get that. But some school districts have been hit so bad that they've had to stop. They've had to push back the start dates for the school year. And in East Aurora, it's been particularly rough. So the school superintendent has said that it's basically they got 40% fewer of the school bus drivers that they actually needed to make the school year happen. So
40%.
40%. So
Damn.
They only have half the bus drivers that they need. And so what it's caused massive havoc in the first week of school. Kids were not getting home until 6 o'clock at night because they have to basically the drivers were having to do double routes and stuff like that, going dropping kids off and picking more up and coming back or whatever. And what the superintendent is arguing is that East Aurora contracts out its school busing they use First Student, and so it's a private company that actually does the school bus driving. But they're saying that the school bus driver provider has not done a good enough job of making sure that there are drivers specifically for districts that were particularly hard hit.
First Student?
First Student is the name of the bus company.
First Student, it seems to be the bane of the existence of those simply trying to get professional bus drivers.
Well, but let me tell you that everybody's having a problem getting school bus drivers right now, too. So, I don't want to slam any one company, not knowing any company well enough, but I can tell you that I know that's what the superintendent of East Aurora is saying, is that when it comes to their district and other districts, particularly in the south of Chicago, that south suburbs / South Chicago, right? That they're having places where they got really hard hit by COVID are also having the hardest time getting school bus drivers, whether that's causative or correlative, who knows? But they're having a really hard time getting school bus drivers. But it is everywhere. So in Oswego, which actually owns its own school buses and employs its own drivers, they had to push back the start of the school year for early childhood education into a week or two because they just didn't have the drivers to get the kids back and forth to preschool, basically. So, it sounds like it was a smaller problem there, or one that was a little bit more easily tackled. And in that case, the school bus, the district owns the school buses. It owns the it pays the drivers directly, right? So they had a little bit more control to identify the issue earlier in the year. But with the case of East Aurora, it's kind of a week before, 2 weeks before the school year started. They're oh, by the way, we only have half the drivers we need. So bit of a problem there. What's crazy, of course, and so she's the superintendent is like, look, this is iniquity, like on like the worst kind, because now our kids they're standing outside and like waiting for forever to get buses in the heat and all of this, and East Aurora has only had buses for 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, for like 4 years anyway, right? So East Aurora didn't get school buses until 2017, which is insane. Why? Iniquity. So not only like, so it's like we got the buses and now we don't have enough buses to like step. So there's a super long history of busing in East Aurora that's goes all the way back to like East Aurora was founded as a school district before the like Illinois school code. Like that's how old our district is. Which means that when the school code came in and said, hey, you have to like bus kids that live far enough away, that live a mile and a half away, they're like, we don't really, because we're grandfathered in. And so we didn't have school buses for years and years and years and years. Then in the 70s, the state tried to be like, well, yeah, but you really need to desegregate your schools. And they're like, wait, no, we don't, because we don't have buses to begin with, so you can't make us bus now. And that turned into a whole lawsuit that like set all kinds of precedent for how we desegregate schools in the state of Illinois, which means we kind of don't. And then at some point in the past, like 5 years or so, we were like, hey, maybe if we had buses, like kids would get to school, and then we would get all the money for those kids to like, because our school funding formula is based on how many kids actually show up in a day to go to school.
The time is now 8:46 a.m.
So now we have buses. But now we have nobody to drive the buses.
Jim Mendoza, good morning
That's
to
the
you.
story.
Dan Barrero, the issue is the inequity in the distribution of the bus driver shortage. Karina Suarez Darden, yes, First Two needs to step it up with his services. Less than a week, we were notified about the shortage of drivers. Good morning to all of you wonderful people out there.
So it's just a real bummer, because for years and years and years, like I would see in the mornings just these shady looking like vans, like white vans pulling up, and they would just have like spray painted on the side like rides to school and a phone number, and like parents were just putting their kids on these buses, like
that's
these,
the kind of bus I used to take to school.
Like shady, right?
Ford, it was a Ford Econoline van,
right? Because parents didn't have any other choices, and they're like, I guess I'll just put my kid on this like shady ass looking like
But
van.
you know what? It's funny though. I'm glad you brought that up. Because
the shady rides to school looking vans.
Well, the thing is I'm going to use my own experience in this.
Let's go.
Here's the thing.
Let's do it.
I went to school for many years, like up until like 5th or 6th grade, in a Econoline van. Mm-hmm. Like I didn't ride a school bus until I went on outdoor ed. Mm-hmm. Way back, if anybody remembers that. Yeah. And then
I do remember that.
I went on a school bus again when we took a field trip to like the Universal Circus. And I didn't take a school bus regularly, like a yellow school bus, until I think 8th grade or freshman year. And it's funny how like you're supposed to, that's the standard, right? The school bus. It's the great American shebang. We were still able to get to school on that shady Econoline van. And now that I'm thinking about it, as we're talking about it, it's amazing what people can and will get done. But yet there was no reprimand because I grew up in Harvey. There was no reprimand by any level of authority or government to say that that couldn't be done to get kids to school. Yeah,
nobody's like, is it really okay that we just have some random adult who's not background checked screened?
Well, this was some of these people were
they employed by the school district?
Some of them were police officers who were moonlighting to do that kind of shit. Or they were like there was a guy who owned like he owned a fruit and produce. He owned the Dixmoor Fruit Market on 147th Street.
Okay.
He owned that, and then he owned a lumber yard. So like he was a trusted member in the community.
Right. Yeah, it's a funny story. It's an an example of the informal economy that pops up, right? Whenever you don't have like actual structures working.
You just brought up a good memory right now.
Yeah. So up until 2017, you would see, and it would be like, it kind of looked like moms or whatever that like, well, I've got to take my kid to school, so let's just get a really big van and take everybody else's kids to school. Yep. But still, like, you had, like, school bus drivers these days have to have, like, they've got to be background screen. They have to have training. They have to have, like, insurance. They have to have, like, you know, TB screenings, like, all of these things, right, to make sure that your kids are safe. And in East Aurora for a long time, we just had like, well, I just spray painted my phone number on the side of a scary van, and that's how kids get to school. And so it's just it's kind of just a fascinating way that all shook out, and a real bummer that it seems like we've now moved a little bit backwards from.
The time is 8:50. All right, Maria Chorito. I never took a school bus. It was all walking, and there was once in a while a friend that would take us. Facts. Facts. I was in the back of a Chevy that my buddy's sister had. Chevy Caprice. Yeah. She could fit like 10 of us back there.
Right. So,
public bus service. Why not ask for help? I'm sorry. Dora Sanchez Soto, good morning to you. Awesome person. And after school programs. Emily, thank you.
Yeah. So, like, when you're talking about school inequity, right? You're like everyone. So the state redid the funding formula a few years ago. So like now we've got more money coming into the poor schools relative to the rich schools. But it's kind of like at this point, like too little, too late, right? Because you've got these busing like inequity issues. You've got like school boards that don't have the same sort of like credentials and like connections that like rich school districts have. It just feels so entrenched that at this point you're just like we can't even get the kids to school. Like
No.
So forget what happens when they're there and how much money the school district gets and how much we pay the teachers and all of this other stuff.
Look, let me tell you. You know what? That's the issue of busing, the issue of teachers and their pay, and the issue of feeding youngsters in school are three topics with which I personally feel that make lofty slogans like quality and freedom just absolute BS. Those three areas they highlight how broken the system is.
Well,
like that is
because those things are all almost ancillary, right, to the actual issue, which is that our schools are already so like the big fight about school busing that happened back in the 60s and 70s, right? Mm-hmm. In the civil rights era, when we're still trying to actually, what if we just like got all these kids to like to integrate and like meet people who don't look like them? Like, what would happen then? You know, right. All like those issues. The way that it worked was Brown versus Board of Education, right? So the big federal law that's like you gotta let kids go to school like with other kids who don't look like them. That law tried to handle de jure segregation. So de jure segregation is when a school board is like very specifically doing something that is trying to keep black kids and white kids separate, right? Mm-hmm. That was like when the picture of the little girl being escorted into the police or into her school with the cops and like people throwing shit and stuff like that, pardon my French, like that's all trying to attack de jure racism. But what it doesn't do is anything about de facto racism, which is the opposite, which is basically everything left over. So de facto segregation is like, well, like we drew the lines for the school district and it's just like, well, a lot of black people live over here and a lot of white people live over here. And so that was left to the states to try and handle.
And in many states they said, we'll make a highway.
Right.
And we'll call it the Dan Ryan. That's what we'll do. And then we'll make sure that the buses don't go past blah, blah, blah.
Right. So in Illinois, we actually did at one point attempt to handle this issue of de facto segregation and say, like, all right, how can we put it on school boards to say, like, look, you've got to draw lines in a way so, like, your whole district, whatever the racial breakdown of your whole school district is, that's roughly what your school should be, give or take 15% or so. And this was called the Anderson Law or something like that. And all the school districts were told by the State Board of Education, you've got to comply with this law, or we will send you letters, and eventually you'll get enough letters that we will just, you will be considered non-compliant, and once you're non-compliant, you'll be not recognized anymore.
And you won't receive no federal
funding.
funds.
You won't receive any state funds, and you won't receive the federal funds that get funneled through the state either. This is what's happening with the school districts and the schools that have decided not to enforce masking in the state of Illinois. That's the same, right? Same mechanism. So it almost never gets invoked, which is why it's so crazy that it's happening now. But so that happened, and 44 school districts out of like 1,100 were like, okay, all right, we'll fix things. And there were 2 school districts that were like, nah. And East Aurora was one of them. So
Dora says public bus service. Why not ask for help? Dora, let me tell you something. I like that because see, that's one of those things. That's one of those many areas where I don't. Whose power is that? A mayor thing to do? Is that a?
So we
need buses. Pace.
Well, and that's the funny thing is that before East Aurora had its own school buses, the kids to the high school, a lot of them had PACE passes. They had student passes or cheap passes, so like you could hop on the PACE. The thing is, like, the PACE buses are designed to be regional, and so, yeah, PACE could theoretically add a route to get the kids to the high school or whatever, but, like, think of, like, how small and how specific a school bus route is for, like, an elementary school or a middle school, right? So, like, PACE is not...
You got anyone a cul-de-sac, you got a huge bus trying to turn.
Right. Like, PACE is not really designed for that. It's designed to be, like, major drop-off points. Like,
I
we'll
would
take
do
you
it,
to Woodman's and the courthouse.
Man, I would make
mall.
it like Dunkirk. I would authorize. I don't care if you got a motorcycle and a sidecar. Get these kids to school. Seriously, I would have it. It'd be the evacuation of French and British expeditionary forces from the beaches of Dunkirk. Seriously, bikes, planes, trains, automobiles, Volkswagen Beetles, El Caminos. Get them in there. The time is now 8:57 a.m. Okay, so we have to. Yeah, we got to. Oh my
we
God,
should wrap up. Oh my God, it goes so fast.
It
guys.
does. My God, this is ridiculous. Okay, so real quick. Good morning, Glennis Foster. Want to say good morning, everybody. Gary Strong. Good morning to you as well. Tracy Duran. Awesome. Jennifer Ryan Maitland. Thank you very much for recognizing that song I was singing. Because to be able to so having somebody actually know that song, that really brought it on home. How official is that? Go out, have fun tonight for First Friday.
All kinds of things. We didn't even get to it all. There's stuff at McCarty. There's stuff at Cottonseed. There's stuff at Zytec.
There's Retro Market tonight, that's tomorrow. Strawberries Barbecue is gonna be cooking. Our boy Fundamental Raw all day. There's a lot.
Yeah,
I will post we'll post the link to the Aurora downtown page, which has the respective calendars of everything.
And go to all the things. Just go downtown and like wander, and you'll find amazing things.
Josie Mendoza Geller, good morning to you. Have a great day. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. Barbecue at McCarty Mills. What time is the barbecue at McCarty Mills, Dora? What time does that start?
5 p.m.
5 p.m.
Patrick
Awesome.
Barbecue. Pop up.
And then we what else do we got? Stay tuned. Sunday, that is right. That's still kind of TBD, but I'm going to make a post about that later on today. Oh, mental health matters. Again, because it's Suicide Awareness Month, Happy Thoughts Suicide Awareness Outreach of Illinois and Simply Destiny are your local community partners there to help you with anything that you may need.
Mm-hmm. Is that it? I think we're good.
I think that's it. Support the show on YouTube, Patreon, Spotify, and don't
click the subscribe
don't forget,
button.
Hit the subscribe button, and don't forget, watch
probably down here.
Watch the interview with Bill Foster.
Hit subscribe.
That was a good one.
That was a good one.
All right, guys.
Okay.
So I think that is a wrap. Have a nice day. Take care of yourself and each other.
Adios, Aurora.